Good evening. Let some people come in. Hey, sis, thank you for sharing. Appreciate it. Yes, as you can tell, my voice is coming back. Thank God. Sleepy time tea and honey does the trick. I took cough medicine and that did absolutely nothing. So, when I went to the emergency room last week, they told me to take tea and honey. So, that's what I'm doing. There's a special person that's not in the chat tonight, but it's his birthday. 3 years. Congratulations. Super proud of you. I'm glad that I could help your mom help you. It means a lot to be able to have this platform to reach out and help others with. And having this AA program that works, and I can verify it works because it's worked for me. And anyways, thank you, Lily, for letting me know you can hear me. That's the ones in the chat over on the YouTube side. My sponsor will probably be coming in on the YouTube side pretty soon. She's usually a little bit late, of course. Love her, though. And hello, anybody over there on Facebook. Thank you for being here for AA. I am feeling a lot better than what I was a couple days ago. Yesterday, man, I couldn't catch my breath for nothing. I put in the YouTube chat the link to come up on panel. If you would like to, you can. You just follow the instructions on that site, and it will take you to panel in my basement. And I have to see your face or you don't come up on panel because, yeah, I stopped doing those for a while because of somebody that was not appropriate. And, yeah, anyways, it was a little crazy. So I'm Sandra, and I'm an alcoholic. Please don't pass any judgment in the comments. Don't harass people. Don't go to their channel or anything like that if they don't respond. Obviously, you clicked on something that you shouldn't have clicked on, or taken something and made it something that it wasn't. So just don't do that. It's not nice. Not everybody in my chat is a recovering alcoholic. They might be supporting my channel or be a family or friend of someone who is an alcoholic, or they might be the recovering alcoholic themselves. You never know. So that's why I say don't pass judgment. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So I get all of my stuff out of my books or the app. There is a daily reflections app that you can read or you can listen to, kind of like you're doing here. But anyway, so 1, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God, as we understood Him, praying as we understood Him. I always skip to the last one. 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6, we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defective characters. 7, humbly ask Him to remove our shortcomings. 8, made a list of all persons we had harmed and become willing to make amends to them all. 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10, continue to take personal inventory and when wrong, promptly admit it. 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. So we are in the big book. I have the 4th edition. So if you don't have the 4th edition, it's probably going to be on a different page. And I always forget to remind myself to check about the new book because it's supposed to be out either last month or this month. I'm not definite. So if you want the new one, Google where you can get it from. But that was what I heard, was that there's a new one. And I have the 4th edition, so Fear of Fear. And I always put in the description what we're reading and the page. Fear of Fear. This lady was cautious. She decided she wouldn't let herself go in her drinking. And she would never, never take the morning drink. I didn't think I was an alcoholic. I thought my problem was that I had been married to a drunk for 27 years. And when my husband found AA, I came the second meeting with him. I thought it was wonderful, simply marvelous for him, but not for me. Then I went to another meeting, and I still thought it was wonderful for him, but not for me. That was on a hot summer evening down in the Greenwich Village group. And there was a little porch out there in the old meeting place on Sullivan Street. And after the meeting, I went out on the steps for some air. In the doorway stood a lovely young girl who said, "Are you one of us Souses too?" I said, "Oh goodness, no. My husband is. He's in there." She told me her name, and I said, "I know you from somewhere." It turned out that she had been in high school with my daughter. I said, "Eileen, are you one of those people?" She said, "Oh yes, I'm in this." As she walked back through the hall, I, for the first time in my life, said to another human being, "I'm having trouble with my drinking too." She took me by the hand and introduced me to the woman that I'm very proud to call my sponsor. This woman and her husband are both in AA, and she said to me, "Oh, but you're not an alcoholic. It's your husband." I said, "Yes." She said, "How long have you been married?" I said, 27 years. She said, 27 years to an alcoholic? How did you ever stand it? I thought, now here's a nice sympathetic soul This is for me. I said, well, I stood it to keep the home together and for the children's sake. She said, yes, I know you're just a martyr. I don't know what the heck that word is, still to this day. Aren't you? I walked away from the woman, grinding my teeth and cursing under my breath. Fortunately, I didn't say a word to George on the way home. But that night I tried to go to sleep, and I thought, you're some, that word, Jane. Let's look at the record. And when I looked at it, I knew I was just as much a drunk as George was, if not worse. I nudged George the next morning and I said, I'm in. And he said, oh, I knew you'd make it. I started drinking nearly 30 years ago, right after I was married. My first drink spree was on corn liquor, and I was allergic to it. Believe me, I was deathly sick every time I took a drink. But we had to do a lot of entertaining. My husband liked to have a good time. I was very young and I wanted to have a good time too. The only way I knew to do it was to drink right along with him. Just a second, I'm going to turn that fan off. I don't want to get sick again. One minute I'm hot, next minute I'm cold. I got into terrific trouble with my drinking. I was afraid, and I had made my mind up that I would never get drunk. So I was watchful and careful. We had a small child, and I loved her dearly. So that held me back quite a bit in my drinking career. Even so, every time I drank, I seemed to get in trouble. I always wanted to drink too much. So I was watchful, always watchful, counting my drinks. If we were invited to a formal party, I knew they were only going to have one or two drinks. I wouldn't have any. I was being very cagey because I knew that if I did take one or two, I might want to take 5 or 6 or 7 or 8. I did stay fairly good for a few years, but I wasn't happy, and I didn't ever let myself go in my drinking after my son, our second child, came along. And as he became school age and was away at school most of the time, something happened. I really started drinking with a bang. I never went to a hospital. I never lost a job. I was never in jail, and unlike many others, I never took a drink in the morning. I needed a drink, but I was afraid to take a morning drink because I didn't want to be a drunk. I became a drunk anyway, but I was scared to death to take that morning drink. I was accused of it many times when I went to play bridge in the afternoon, but I really never did take a morning drink. I was still woozy from the night before. I should have lost my husband, and I think that only the fact that he was an alcoholic too kept us together. No one else would have stayed with me. Many women who have reached the stage that I had reach in my drinking, have lost husbands, children, homes, everything they hold dear. I have been very fortunate in many ways. The important thing I lost was my own self respect. I could feel fear coming into my life. I couldn't face people. I couldn't look them straight in the eyes. Although I had always been a self-possessed, brazen person, I'd brazen anything out. I lied like a trooper to get out of many scrapes. But I felt a fear coming into my life and I couldn't cope with it. I got so that I hid quite a bit of the time, wouldn't answer the phone, and stayed by myself as much as I could. I noticed that I was avoiding all my social friends except for my bridge club. I couldn't keep up with any of my other friends, and I wouldn't go to anyone's house unless I knew they drank as heavily as I did. I never knew it was the first drink that did it. I thought it was I thought I was losing my mind when I realized that I couldn't stop drinking. That frightened me terribly. George tried many times to go on the wagon. If I had been sincere in what I thought I wanted more than anything else in life, a sober husband and a happy, contented home, I would have gone on the wagon with him. I did try for a day or two, but something would always come up that would throw me. It would be a little thing, the rug being crooked, or a silly little thing that I think was wrong, and off I'd go drinking and sneaking my drinks. I had bottles hidden all over the apartment. I didn't think my children knew about it, but I found out they did. It's surprising how we think we fooled everybody in our drinking. I reached a stage where I couldn't go into my apartment without a drink. It didn't bother me anymore whether George was drinking or not. I had to have liquor. Sometimes I would lie on the bathroom floor, deathly sick, praying I would die, and praying to God, as I always had prayed to Him when I was drinking. Dear God, get me out of this one, and I'll never do it again. And then I'd say, God, don't pay any attention to me. You know I'd do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. The very same thing. I used to make excuses to try to get George off the wagon. I'd get so fed up with drinking all alone and bearing the burden of guilt all by myself that I'd egg him on to drink to get started again. And then I'd fight with him because he had started. And the whole merry-go-round would go on again. And he, poor dear, didn't know what was going on. He used to wonder when he'd spot one of my bottles around the house just how he could have overlooked that particular bottle. I myself didn't know all the places I had them hidden. We have only been for in AA a few years, but now we're trying to make up for lost time. 27 years of confusion is what my early married life was. Now the picture had changed completely. We have faith in each other, trust in each other, and understanding. AA has given us that. It has taught me so many things. It has changed my thinking entirely. About everything I do. I can't afford resentments against anyone because they are the buildup of another drunk. I must live and let live and think that one important word means so much to me. My life was always act and react. I never stopped to think. I just didn't give a whoop about myself or anyone else. I tried to live our program as it has been outlined to me, one day at a time. I try to live today so that tomorrow I won't be ashamed when I wake up in the morning. In the old days, I hated to wake up and look back at what last night had been like. I never could face it the next morning. And unless I had some rosy picture of what was going to happen that day, I wouldn't even feel like getting up in the morning at all. It really wasn't living. Now I feel so very grateful, not only for my sobriety, which I try to maintain day by day, but I'm grateful also for the ability to help other people. I never thought I could be useful to anyone except my husband and my children and perhaps a few friends. But AA has shown me that I can help other alcoholics. Many of my neighbors devoted time to volunteer work. There was one woman especially, and I'd watch her from my window every morning, leaving faithfully to go to the hospital in the neighborhood. I said to her one day when I met her on the street, "What sort of volunteer work do you do?" She told me it was simple. I could have done it very easily. She said, "Why don't you do it too?" I said I'd love to. She said, "Suppose I put your name down as a volunteer, even if you can only give 1 or 2 days." But then I thought, well, now wait, how will I feel next Tuesday? How will I feel next Friday? If I make it a Friday, how will I feel next Saturday morning? I never knew. Excuse me. I was afraid to set even one day. I could never be sure I'd have a clear head and hands that were willing to do some work. So I never did any volunteer work, and I felt depleted, whipped. I had the time. I certainly had the capability, words, but I never did a thing. I am trying now each day to make up for all those selfish, thoughtless, foolish things I did in my drinking days. I hope that I never forget to be grateful. This one speaks to me a lot because I knew that I could become an alcoholic. I think even as a teenager, I knew I would be an alcoholic. It was just trying to block it out all the way up through my life, up till 11 years ago. I didn't have a real thought of ever going sober. But I got sober the first time, and I was sober for a year. but I used a specific thing that I was given. Hi, Tony. I knew you'd be here. But I was given a thing from my mom. And when I got that from her, I decided right there that I was going to start wearing that all the time. And I was not going to drink. I knew nothing about AA. And so just a second. Anyway, I'm still trying to get over this cold or whatever it is. But anyways, so growing up, I knew I was going to be an alcoholic. You can fight it, but you're not going to win until you actually kick it and say no. But I got sober for a year because I got so hammered or stayed hammered for I don't know how long on that last binge that time that I blacked out somehow. First time I've ever blacked out from being drunk. So I blacked out apparently and smacked my face right here on my eye. And that night was a crazy night because my friend, which was one of my neighbors, she drank too, right along with me, but I guess she was more level-headed than me. My husband came home and I was sitting on the kitchen floor with a rag on my eye. Well, it wasn't a rag; it just happened to be my pajama pants out of the dryer. I don't want you kissing my ear. That's a no-go. Yeah, you know Mama don't like that. Don't give me those sad tears. No, not working, buddy. Anyways, so I had thrown up such a ruckus in that emergency room. I went code red 3 times. I escaped that hospital. I was defiant. I was not getting those stitches in my eyeball. And they were not coming to me fast enough. So I was like, out of here. So after the 3rd time I left the hospital, out the emergency room doors, where it says non-exit, I went out it. Anyways, they put a guard outside my room. And so, yes, I've been to the hospital because of my drinking. They had to have a guard sitting outside of my area because I kept wanting to leave. And they had to have a CT scan of my head and they had to stitch my eyeball. And I was just like, I was pissed off. And so, what I did was, they didn't give me my phone. I didn't know where it was. Chris was not allowed to go back there because I was pissed off at him. Mike wasn't allowed to go back there because, well, he couldn't hold me down. And mind you, I was not this big then. I was smaller. And so this lady in a red sweater, I'll never forget. I don't know who she is. I don't know her name. I don't know where the hell she came from. But she just appeared out of nowhere. And she conned me into getting that CT scan done. She's like, I'll hold your hand. I'll sit there with you. I'll talk to you. You won't be in there by yourself. Because I'm claustrophobic. So that was one of my fears, was going in there alone. And so I got that done. My brain was fine. Go figure. Just had some other problems, I guess. But no, I got sober and I was sober for a year. And then, so my kids were still in school. Well, kind of. Willard kept dropping out, but that's whatever. But when they got into the high school, going to high school is when I really hit the go pedal. Like, hammer it down. And I started hammering it down real fast. And I went downhill real fast. But then, before AA, I didn't know that I was going to go back out and end up right back where I was before. So stupid me, I would go to a liquor store, buy some Jack Daniels and Coke. It was already mixed, so I didn't have to buy them separately. I was amazed. But he sat in my refrigerator for a while. And then I was like, I'm going to have one. That was a big mistake. A big mistake. I was going to have one. And I went right back down. And it just went like that. It was not gradually go to it again. No, it was like snap, and there it was. And so that's why I have stuck with AA, and I use AA for my sobriety and my tool for all of my issues that I may come up with. Because, I have an attitude at work too, so I have to use it while I'm at work. When they kick me off. But no, AA has taught me a lot. And the main thing it's taught me is that I don't have to have that drink. I can go without that drink. I don't need it to survive like I was trying to. And it's taught me that people didn't walk away from me, I walked away from them. I left them in the dust because I wanted to be by myself and be drunk. And since I've got sober, I have friends, I have family, and I deal with life things as it comes. Because we're only given today, only 24 hours. And something that I agree with in every step of this book is get a sponsor. That was a second thing I did after I started AA. After my first meeting, I got my sponsor when I called her. She was the third person I called, and she answered her phone, and she's still my sponsor. And having somebody there that can understand what you're feeling and your frustration or your sadness and help you get through that without having that drink, it's a lot better than going for that bottle. Because that bottle is bad news. And I have friends that have gone out since being sober. And they have jumped back on. And, once you know that there's something there that can help, and it's there for whenever you need it, and we're not judging you if you went out and you come back. Because we all have problems. We all have our battles. We all have those things that we need help with that maybe somebody doesn't understand. And that's talking to a stranger really does work too. I remember when I first started AA, I said this on Tuesday, I think. A guy was saying, he's over here. I think he might need to, where. But I have been open about my recovery with every place that I go, people that I talk to, even coworkers. if if I say I'm a recovering alcoholic, sometimes they'll just look at me like whatever. And I'll be like, it don't matter that you don't believe me. I know. But sometimes you get that one person that is like, you've been sober how long? And then they're like, you're my person. I'm a recovering too. And you don't know if somebody needs help unless if you say something. You can't expect them to guess that you're a recovering anything unless if you say something. And I've always said that I'm a recovering alcoholic since I got sober. So I'm going to keep shouting it and I'm going to keep sharing it. It helps. Without AA, I probably wouldn't be sitting here. I'd probably be out there drunk or something. Or worse.
We need to get a shirt for yours so we can send it to Robbie and see if he'll wear it on his channel, because you're wearing his on your channel right now.
Yeah. But being a recovering alcoholic is a lifetime. It's not going to go away. It's going to be here for the rest of my life. And I got a long time to go. And I'm planning to do it all sober. It's going to be a long ways. And I'm a grandma. Yes, I'm a grandma. I've known that I'm a grandma for quite a while. I just didn't want to tell anybody because of that situation, but I'm super excited. I have a grandson and I have a granddaughter. So yes, I'm excited about that. No more dyeing the hair. That was the deal I made with myself a long time ago. I quit coloring my hair once I found out I was a grandma. So the gray hair is coming, guys. It's coming. Anyways, like I said, if you need help, there is always help. If you're a newcomer, please keep coming. It works. And I can verify it works. You just have to want it for you and for the right reasons. And that's what I tell all my sponsees is if you do it for somebody else, it's not the right reason because you're not that someone else. You are I love you too, Tony. One of your grandkids is at Cheer in Florida. Lucky kid. Love you too. But anyways, so sobriety is a good thing. You just have to want it for you. And be willing to work those steps. Doesn't matter how long it takes you, you just got to keep working them. Keep working them. It works. Anyways. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Keep coming back. It works if you work it. Love you guys. Be safe. Stay sober.